Hello, greetings from Waliczka near Krakow in Poland, once again on this fine autumn afternoon of November the 2nd. The reason I'm here this time is simply to push this, to talk about this a little. The new album from Alternative TV, the group that's been helmed by Mark Perry since 1977, although it has had a couple of breaks over the years since. This arrived last week, last Wednesday, I think. Last Monday, the beginning of last week. And it's absolutely sublime. Fantastic album. Very different to a lot of other work from ATV. I very often compare it, at least in terms of its sensibilities, to Vibing Up the Senile Man, Part 1, the album ATV released in 1979. It does share sensibilities with that, with respect to the approach to the music. It's less about songs and more about creating soundscapes, or perhaps one could argue uncomfortable spaces to immerse oneself in. Each of the 6 tracks is instrumental as well, so that's a first, at least a first for an ATV album. 6 tracks, and there they are again. Sorry, this is very, very reflective, so you can see myself, or I can see myself in there again. It's not something I want to see. But there we are, there's the tracks. I've got some music playing from side 1 at the moment. I think this is it's not Causeway Head, it's Soudage, is that how you pronounce it? Or Swordage. And I've also compared this album to the likes of Organum, who else? Early Whitehouse, where it was kind of crude electronics and quite minimalist. Who else? Morphogenesis, perhaps, they spring to mind as well. Somebody mentioned the New Blockaders to me. It's got more in common with that, AM or AMM, if that's how you prefer to pronounce their name. Similar to that kind of improvisation or improvisational works, with a lot of frazzled, grizzled electronics in there, and also on Causeway Head, the previous track to this, you probably can't hear it, but on the second track on side 1, there's even a guitar strumming away, just in case you don't know. That's more like a ukulele, I think, than a George Formby style. But yeah, there's a guitar, on there, and it's all. Yeah, I think it's an album that is more about moods. It's pretty immersive, and I would again contend that it's more about disquiet, discomfort, not a little unsettled. It probably says something, and Mark Perry can shoot me for saying this. It probably says something about Mark's own. Um, I don't want to say his state of mind, but maybe I can say state of mind concerning where ATV are now and how they're perceived. I know if anybody's read the book that I recently published, that's now going out all over the world. It's finally got the distribution in place. If anybody's read that, and even if you haven't read it, you might well understand that Mark Perry has always been uncomfortable with the fact that ATV were very often lumped in with that kind of early punk, 1977 style punk sound. And maybe that's true. Again, just to reiterate a few points in the book, maybe it's true of a few songs from that period. But really, one of the reasons I fell in love with ATV, one of the reasons I fell in love with them was because of Vibing Up the Senile Man, essentially. But they were always so much more than that. You know, they may have dabbled with some direct punk songs, but it's really a handful. And after that, they very quickly went in different directions, very much setting a template for post-punk, one could argue, again. It's another point that's made in the book. You know, people always talk about Joy Division, Wire, The Cure, Susie and the Banshees, Public Image, all being cornerstones of the post-punk sound, at least in terms of successful cornerstones, ones that went on to inspire, you know, legions of other bands and artists as well, of all stripes, and quite rightly so too. But Mark, again, in the book, even in our conversations surrounding what went into the book, made it clear that The Image Has Cracked appeared in 1978, and that album already breaks away from ATV's earlier, more direct punk sound or songs. It already goes beyond that. The track Alternatives on side one, the opening song, which consists of two pieces, segue together, Frank Zappa style. That's got very little to do with direct punk rock, and a lot of the other pieces on the album they go beyond punk. So there was always that element to ATV. So maybe this album, to return to Direct Action, which is I think a great title, and maybe just to show you the cover to you once again. Anybody who knows anything will know about Mark Perry anyway, will know that this cover pays direct homage to Whitehouse's Great White Death, the excellent album they released in 1985. I think it was something like their 8th studio album, if I remember correctly. Of course, I've got it. I haven't listened to it for a long time, mind, but I have to be in the right frame of mind for Whitehouse. I'm sure that's true of most people as well. But I think playing them is overdue again at the moment. Anyway, yeah, this cover is a direct homage to Whitehouse's Great White Death, and Mark Perry is a huge Whitehouse fan, huge fan of early uh, Come Org, Broken Flag, Ramley, all that kind of stuff, and maybe some of the music on Direct Action nods towards that, but it doesn't sound like it. It's got the same intensity, but it doesn't really sound like it. I maybe I'm being lazy by saying, and of course I've got a job to do. I've got to try and sell this record. So my reference points would be Am, Organum. I can understand why it was Stephen Wilson who said the New Blockaders. Who else did I say? Morphogenesis. That kind of improvisational approach to generating noises and sounds, but with the barest hint of structure, kind of binding everything together. It works really well. So um, the musicians on this include um, long long time collaborator Dave Morgan, who also produced it, um, and um, Cos Chapman, Ruth Tidmarsh, and Gareth Matthews. I think Gareth is a local musician to Mark down in Cornwall, and it between them, between the five of them, they've worked wonders. I think Mark Perry's not even on one of these songs or pieces, if you like. Um, uh, kind of. No, I said to him myself, I'd love to have heard some vocals on these tracks, at least on one or two of them. But it's a testament to his own. He might disagree with me here, but it's a testament to his own lack of ego. Um, that one of the songs, one of the pieces of music, doesn't even have his vocals on or his presence in any musical way, shape, or form. I'm sure he somehow directed it, the piece, or had some involvement in what was acceptable or not to represent ATV. But he took a back seat. That's clear, and it says a lot about him. And also the fact that he didn't want to stamp vocals over every track. Personally, I'd like to have heard some vocals. I think he's a good vocalist, and I like a lot of his lyrics. I like most of his lyrics. But hence doing a book about the fellow. Um, but there's a piece uh, that I think has come from the same sessions as the tracks for this album that will appear on my When Worlds Collide double LP next spring. There's a piece which is very similar in nature to these six tracks, but features his vocals, and it's really really nice. So yeah, but I'll talk about When Worlds Collide in due course. What can I also say about this? Cargo Records, the distributor, they have copies, so it should be fairly easy to order from any retailer that deals with Cargo Records. I guess Force Exposure in America will take some. I've also been, since the arrival of these records uh, early last week, I've been dealing with direct orders. So every day, once again, I've been going to the post office with a pile of records to send out. And I think I've worked my way through most of the direct orders. But, and this is something I should say, excuse me, I just need to slurp some tea. Throat's getting dry. And my voice is going. You'll be pleased to hear. Um, what did I want to say? Yes, vis-a-vis the direct orders, the first 25 direct orders sent to me will also have an exclusive edition of Sniffing Glue included with the LP. I won't be able to put it inside because that would mean breaking the shrink wrap, but it will come in the package. And I haven't got those sniffing glue fans. It's always the way here. There's always something that fucks up. Um, I did promise Mark that I wouldn't even send out copies of the album until the sniffing glues were here. But my printer told me last week that he's in the middle of moving office, so I'm not going to see the sniffing glue fanzines until next week. I didn't want to be sitting on all these boxes of records even longer than necessary, so I'd started sending direct orders out. I've probably got about 20 more to do, and then I've got the 25 to do with the sniffing glue. And Mark Perry will also have some copies of the LP coming his way next week. He's owed a certain amount, and I also don't have any really big boxes at the moment here. They've all been used up, so can't find any anywhere. So, and I always forget whenever I go to a supermarket or whatever. So, I'm just getting out 20 LPs to Mark next week, and hopefully by the time he receives them, the week after next, all my direct orders will have gone out. So there won't be a repeat of what happened with the book, where he received some copies of the book, put them on his website, and I then got loads of angry emails, a surge of angry emails from people asking where their book is, and yeah, understandably, but and also pointing out that they could have just got it from Mark, in Penzance. But all the books have gone, all the direct orders have gone, at least the backlog, because even today I received another order, and I'm hoping Cargo Records are receiving orders as well. But yeah, I hope all of the direct orders for direct action will have been dealt with by the end of next week. It's Thursday today, so by next Friday, the majority will have gone out, I think. But I am waiting for these sniffing glues, so I hope they will be delivered on maybe Tuesday, or I'll be able to go and drive into the centre of Krakow and collect them on Tuesday, in between my work as an English teacher. So let's hope so. And again, there are 25 of those to deal with. But I've got all the packaging and everything else, so it's just a matter of me packing and getting to the post office. But I'm not going to go with all 25 orders in one fell swoop. I'll do them over the course of a few days. It's not in my nature to hold people up at the bloody post office. So with piles of packages, I used to do that in England. I could feel people in the queue behind wanting to kill me. So I'm very mindful of that. I do go with between 10 and 15 packages almost daily, but gone are the days where I'll go with more than that, because even when I get stuck behind somebody doing just that, I'm also throwing daggers, mental daggers at them. So anyway, I think I've rambled enough. Of course, link below for the direct action LP. I think there is a tentative plan to reissue it at some point in the future on CD, but don't hold your breath. It's not a priority at the moment. I've got other things, got other considerations. There's even meant to be an ATV compilation CD happening before that, and that's been talked about for the best part of this year so far, and nothing's happened yet. So if there is to be a reissue of this direct action album on CD, we'll be probably still waiting for it to happen this time next year. So, or maybe not. Maybe it will happen later next year. Who knows? But it won't be happening anytime soon. What else? There are only 600 copies of the LP, so don't hang around if you're interested. Direct orders always appreciated, um, and by all means, send an email moaning that you have to wait, 2 or 3 weeks if you live in the UK, if you feel like it. But don't really blame me for it, because it's the postal service in Britain. Essentially, it's absolutely shot to pieces, and I know that because I've got at least 2 friends that used to work as posties in Britain who say the same thing. Um, and even some guy last week wrote to me who works as a postman, said something similar, that it's not good. So a couple of people have written and said, "Oh, it's the Polish postal service." No, it's pretty good here. Polish postal system is pretty good. In fact, many things over here are much better than Britain these days. So there's food for thought. There's a reason why I lived here, why I jumped ship. So there are many reasons actually, but that's amongst them. There's no way I'm going back to that bloody sinking ship. No way. So good luck to those who are unable to do that. So, if they want. I think I've said everything. Yeah, links below for the LP, link to the shop. Just sent out all the Kleishvar CDs as well. I'll put a link to the Mark Perry ATV book as well. I've still got soft covers here, got a handful of hardbacks, but really, if you're interested in buying a hardback now, order it from Cargo in London, and I'll put a link below once again to them as well. Yeah, so links below for everything. And I'll be back here again soon. I'm just trying to think what the next thing is. Mummies and Madmen CD will be the next thing that I do, but I really need to get some revenue back, and I also have the final. I green lighted the final double LP a week or so ago, so I hope there'll be some news on that fairly soon as well. I'll chase my friend Steve Pittis up next week as well and see if we have some news regarding that for at least my next newsletter or whatever. But otherwise, thanks for watching, listening. Sorry that I ramble. I'm not that apologetic, so it's just my nature. At least you could just hit the stop button. You can't if you're stuck with me for an evening. So not so easily anyway. Not without being considered extremely rude. So, yeah, I get it from my mother. So I really do. So luckily she won't watch this. Anyway, I'm really going to stop rambling. Links below. Thanks a lot once again. Thanks for all of those who support directly or otherwise, no matter whether it's just a CD or a big order, whatever. I appreciate all of it. It helps to keep everything working. Thanks again. Bye-bye.